Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Katie. I'm adding up Addingtons, and today we are talking about foster care home studies. So stick around. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Katie. I'm a mom of 8. We own our company. We homeschool. We are former foster parents. We're an adoptive family. We're a multiracial family. We love to travel and adventure together, and we just share all of the things around here. So I would love for you to hit that subscribe button down below and stick around with us because we love to share our adventures with you. So today we are talking about foster care home studies. I get lots of questions about home studies and what to expect and what has to happen and what do I recommend and what kind of products did we use for stuff. And so I just want to spend some time addressing all of that. Now, I have done another video on home studies and I will link that down below, where I talked about the one thing that I wanted you to know about home studies from an experienced foster mom's point of view. So if you haven't seen that one, check that out down below. The point still stands. That is still the most important thing that I would want you to know about home studies. But I'm going to get down a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of it today. So here we go. All right, so let's start with the purpose of foster care is to provide a safe and supportive home for a child who has been through a traumatic situation. Now that means both physically safe and supportive and emotionally safe and supportive. Now, I say it in pretty much every foster care video, but I will say it again. A child comes into foster care because someone or something has fundamentally failed them through whatever situation in their life. But these kids have been failed. And so when they come into foster care and they are placed in a foster home, DCS, or whatever it's called in your state, wants to make sure that they're not putting them into another traumatic situation waiting to happen. They want to put these kids into safe and supportive homes. So the way that they evaluate that a home is safe and supportive is through a home study. Home study is a little bit of a misnomer because it is not actually primarily about your home, although that is the part that I most often hear people stressing out about. So it's actually not primarily about your physical home. The primary purpose of a home study is to ensure the safety of your home and family for a child in a traumatic situation. Now, the person writing your home study is also looking at what kind of child that you are going to be best suited to parent and how that child can potentially affect your family. Both of those things are important interactions. They are also looking to see what, if any, further support or resources or training may be beneficial to you in your ability to parent a foster child. So that is really the primary purpose, to ensure the health and safety of your family and your home, to evaluate what kind of child you may be best suited to help, and to see what else you might need to be successful as a foster parent. None of these things is an evaluation of you as a person and your success or failure in life. Nobody is giving you a grade about how well you're adulting. That is not the purpose of a home study. What they're doing is they're looking for obvious red flags that could cause further trauma. That is kind of the idea that I want you to keep in mind, is that when a child is coming in out of a traumatic situation, what they need is a stable and supportive home. So they're looking for anything that may potentially predictably cause your home to not be stable or supportive. So when we start the home study process, our instinct is to feel very defensive, to feel very judged and vulnerable, and to worry about what people think of us. And that is really just not the point. Nobody is looking to rip you apart. They're just looking to see what could affect a child's healing from the trauma that they have already experienced. All right, so I said that a home study is not primarily about your home. So what is it? Now, I dug real deep here and pulled out from 5 years ago, pulled out my foster parent paperwork and some of the home study forms that we had to complete so that I could give you an accurate picture. Now, I will give the disclaimer again, as I do in all of my foster care videos, that foster care is a state-run entity. This changes state by state. I live in Tennessee, so my experience is based on what we were required to do in Tennessee. So always, always check with your own family's caseworker and your own state's child welfare department before you take my word for anything. This is my experience. All right, some things that you will want to think through in your home study. If we are evaluating your home as a stable and supportive home for a foster child, some of the things that you may want to think through are obviously all of your police and background check information is going to be looked up. You will need to be fingerprinted. Your driving records and arrest records, anything like that. If you have a history with DCS, they're going to look at those records. So they're going to look at your financial records, and that is not to evaluate how much money you make, but just to ensure that you can provide for the family that you have, and that the state board payments will go to support the child that the state is placing in your home. You will need medical records for you and your kids and your pets to make sure that everybody is in good health and that there's no obviously glaring reason that your health would prevent you from being an effective foster parent. Again, that's what they're looking for. You will have family interviews. They're going to ask you about your personal history. They're going to ask your kids questions. It's not scary. I was in the room with my kids because they were little. But they want to know what your kids think about other kids coming into the home, what some of their favorite family activities are, what your kids enjoy doing, that kind of stuff. Nobody's looking to incriminate you on something made up. You will need to provide emergency contacts for if you do get sick or injured, who is going to be the person that you call in to take care of the kids. They are going to talk to your personal references to say hey, do you think these guys can handle being foster parents? That kind of stuff. So if it feels very invasive and judgmental, just remember that the point is to make sure there's nothing that would keep you from being an effective foster parent, or if you need additional resources to be an effective foster parent. That's what they're looking for. Because at the end of the day, and I've said this in another video before, they always need foster parents. And so they need you to be successful at becoming a foster parent. Or what maybe some of the red flags are that would keep your family from being a stable and supportive environment. Nobody is giving you a grade on your own life. That is really the most important part of the home study. Again, we tend to think about the physical house things, but that is not the primary point. There are, however, some things that you will have to do to your physical home to be a safe and supportive environment for a foster child. So first of all, let's cover what a home study is not. A home study is not a white-gloved military inspection of your home. Nobody is going to be measuring the angle of the folds in your sheets. They're not. It is not an inspection of your cleaning, organizing, homemaking skills. Again, nobody's giving you a grade on those things. And it's definitely not a judgment on your taste, style, ability of decorating, or maybe lack thereof. It doesn't matter. What the home study is looking for in your physical home is it safe? And not only is it just not dangerous, but all of these things are actually intended to predict or be a step ahead of any potential safety risks. Again, because you don't want to accidentally cause further trauma to a child who has already been fundamentally failed in life. Some of the things that may look like are additional smoke detectors. I know here in Tennessee, we were required to have at least one on each level. Our family put more than one on each level. I know in some states, every single bedroom has to have its own smoke detector. Those things will vary by state, so definitely check your state's requirements before you take my word for it. So we had to have smoke detectors on every floor. We also had to have carbon monoxide detectors on every floor in the house. We chose to get ones that plug in and have a battery backup. Some places will allow you to use dual function smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, and some places require those to be separate things. So again, check your state's requirements. You may need to have a home phone line installed in your house. We did. In some places, those rules are changing, but the base idea is that children in the home have the ability to call 911, whether you are present with your cell phone or not. So you may need to have a home phone line installed in your home. We had to have emergency phone numbers, including poison control in the pediatrician's office, and a fire escape route posted in our house where people can see them. Some places will require you to have home rules posted publicly, things like that. So whatever those requirements are, my recommendation would be get a nice frame, print them up on your computer, or make a pretty drawing or whatever it is, frame it, put it on the wall, make it part of your decor. It doesn't have to be totally out of place and tacky to meet those home study requirements. So I drew a fun block print colored floor plan of our house with all the exits marked, and I put it in a frame in our hallway. So that is my recommendation on all of those things that have to be posted in your home. Just embrace it, make it part of your decor, and fit them into the rest of your house. Most places will require you to lock up medication. Now, this doesn't have to be super complicated. We had a series of small, probably about this big, toolboxes that just had the loops. We bought a set of matching luggage locks to put on each one, and John and I each had one of the keys on our key rings. That way we had one for travel, one that would fit in the fridge, one that we could keep up in our bedroom, wherever we needed them. We just had a series of them that all worked together. But most places will require you to lock up medication. You may also be required to lock up cleaning supplies, alcohol. Here in Tennessee, we're not required to lock up alcohol, but we did. And cleaning supplies could be behind a cabinet lock, but they couldn't be like the push in the bar kind of child safety locks. They had to be the magnetic locks. You may actually be required to have a separate container for them. Again, as always, check your state's requirements. You may need additional pool fencing. I know firearms usually have to be locked up. Here in Tennessee, we do not have firearms in our home, but we have friends who do, and the weapon has to be locked alone, unloaded, and the ammunition had to be locked up separately. So there are very specific requirements about that. Car seats and insurance will have to be checked. Fire extinguishers. We were required, like the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide detectors, we were required to have a fire extinguisher on every floor of our house. I know that varies depending on location, but we actually had to use one once, so they come in handy. Up-to-date sleeping arrangements may be something that you need to think about. You may have a great hand-me-down family crib, but if it has the drop side on it, you probably can't use it for foster care. So you may need to think through some of those things. All of these are just intended to be things for you to think about. These are the kinds of things that they are going to be looking for in the physical inspection of your house. Now, I have a whole bunch of links down below where you can find products that are the same or very similar to the things that we actually used for our family. Now, again, remember, just because I'm listing them does not guarantee that they will meet the requirements and regulations in your area, so check those out. This is just simply showing you some of the things that we used when we were foster parents. Now, obviously, this is not like a square footage requirement or the number of bedrooms. And what I want you to get from this is that is not the primary purpose of the home study. These are all safety things. Sleeping arrangements and room requirements and all of that depend so much on your location and what your state requires. It will depend on the age and gender of the children. It will depend on some of the needs. In our home, we have 3 boys and 4 girls per bedroom, but our teenage daughter has her own room. So, you know, those things all play into those decisions. So there's a reason that I don't try to answer those questions, is because the answer is just going to depend on where you are and what kind of children you are fostering. So remember, the home study is not primarily about your physical home. It's a profile of you and your family and what you are best suited to help with, what resources you may potentially need to add to your life to best be a foster parent, and how a foster child is going to affect your family so that everybody has a stable and supportive environment through this process. And the things that do affect your physical home are about staying one step ahead of safety needs. They're not an evaluation of your decorating skills. This is not a grade on your life or a pass-fail on how well you're adulting. That's not what anybody's looking for. So just remember, the point of the home study is to get an accurate picture of you, your family, your home, and your ability to provide that environment for a foster child. So let me know what other questions you have about foster care and adoption in the comments down below, and I would love to answer those. Don't forget to check out the links if you need some ideas just to get rolling on supplies you may need to be a foster parent. And don't forget to subscribe and stick around. Thanks for being here,